The Railyard isn't completely finished yet, but in the meantime, here's a quick tour of the project. With this build, I wanted to solve two things. First, to manage most of the cargo in the game, and second, my personal thrill of seeing as many trains together as possible. When I looked at real-life railyards, I wanted to create something like that. They always have a huge parking area, so I had to make one too, like here in the front. At first sight, it may look like a big mess, but actually this railyard is divided into 3 or 4 separate sections, so the trains can't end up on each other's tracks by accident. Over here are all the load stations where the unloaded cargo gets sorted. Anything that doesn't get filtered out by smart splitters is sent to the big trains on the left, and those head straight to an awesome sync station on the other side of the map. In the middle, we have the standard trains. They run across the whole map, 10 tracks side by side with space for 10 trains on each track. You can see some of the larger trains departing right now. The biggest ones, with up to 40 freight cars, don't really have a function yet. I just built them to test if they could run on the network without causing traffic jams. This train carries all the oil, which is delivered by smaller trains from almost every oil field on the map. Here are the 5 unload stations. The one on the far left is for oil, the 2 on the right handle cargo going to distribution stations, and the 2 in the middle don't really have a function yet. To make sure trains can leave smoothly after unloading, I added an extra stop here. That way the departure timing isn't delayed by the unloading process. You can also control how fast trains leave by placing the next signal closer or further away. This lets you either keep the waiting lines full or make sure factories get their items delivered faster. And that's actually how this whole railyard started. I wanted a massive line of trains together without them all just standing still. It took a lot of experimenting, but now every line starts nicely filled most of the time. At many stations at the factories, I even run 3 identical trains, because otherwise it could take half an hour or more before another train shows up. To spread the trains across all tracks, each one is connected to 3 or 4 waiting lines. At first, some tracks kept getting overloaded, but then I just reassigned a few trains to different unload stations. And what keeps the big trains separated from the standard small ones? The main loop track around the map has 2 levels. The lower level connects to all the side tracks going to factories, while the upper level runs to the big unloading stations on the far side of the map. I set up the junction so trains with 20 wagons or more always take the left loop, and the smaller ones with around 10 wagons go to the right. The last ones mentioned have their stations here, and I will mainly use them to transport raw materials and perhaps also liquids. So that's the overall function of this railyard. I hope you enjoyed this tour and maybe got some inspiration for your own builds. And if you have great ideas by yourself or spot anything that could be improved, feel free to let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.